This is Mrs. Schramm, and we're going to be working on our Unit 4 Siamese cat book on around page 26. You guys should see something that says DNA versus RNA, depending on which teacher you have. And what we're going to be doing is I'd like you to start by getting a green, a red, and a purple pen to do these notes. Okay? Now, once we do that, you can start the video again. Make sure you have these colors. Now, once you have these colors, let's talk about DNA versus RNA. You guys are familiar with DNA. We've been building lots of models of it. We've looked at DNA replication. Today we're going to look at RNA. Notice they're almost the same name except the first letter is different. Deoxyribose versus ribose. You guys may remember ose. That means that the sugar in these two molecules is different, but they have a similar function. We're going to be looking at that. First of all, let's review why we even need DNA in the first place. So why DNA? Well, you may recall that DNA is the blueprints for our body, but that proteins actually make up our body. So the DNA is the instructions for all of the proteins. I wrote that down over here, so I'm just going to keep that here for you. DNA is the instructions for making all of the proteins of our body. Now, scientists like to refer to what DNA does as the central dogma of biology. So using our green, I would like you guys to draw some DNA. Go ahead and green label that DNA. And DNA, we need it to make proteins. But there's actually a middle step. DNA just doesn't make proteins instantly. We have to go through two main processes. So the central dogma of biology is the process that DNA first gets copied in a process called transcription. Transcription is a process like writing. Okay? Transcribing means to copy letters. We're going to copy letters of DNA into letters of RNA, and this is what we're going to use our red for. So please use your red pen to draw an RNA molecule. An RNA molecule is a copy of one of the genes that codes for a protein. Now, once this RNA molecule has been copied in the process of transcription, we can then do a process called translation. Translation is where we use a different language, right? So if you think of translating, you might think maybe I could translate something from English to Spanish or German to French or something like that. Translation, we're not right here in DNA, DNA is a nucleic acid, RNA is a nucleic acid, but proteins are made of amino acids. And I always use purple for proteins. I'm going to write the word protein in purple. And proteins are made of amino acids. If you remember, there are 20 different amino acids. So I'm going to put a couple different like shapes or shadings to represent each of these amino acids. Okay? Each of these shapes is a different amino acid. Okay? And the proteins can fold in different ways and be different shapes that are very important for their function. So, this process of turning DNA into RNA into proteins is the central dogma of biology. It's how life on Earth works. Now, let's look at the location of where these things happen. I'm going to show you a picture. First of all, let's look at the questions we're going to answer. Where is DNA stored? What organelle makes proteins? Let's look at those two first. Okay. Here's a picture of a cell. This is a really cool picture of a cell because it's trying to show how a cell works. Notice here's the cell, and it's showing like little construction workers doing stuff. In real life, these little construction workers would be enzymes and things that are doing things. For example, over here you can see that there is, it looks like there's some RNA being made. Okay? And that RNA being made is being made by an enzyme called RNA polymerase, and it travels outside of the nucleus, and it comes over here to this little thing. This tan thing is a ribosome. Ribosomes are always outside here, and then in the nucleus is where the DNA is stored. So we need to make proteins out here. That's what this is. This is a protein being made by the ribosome. But the instructions for all of our proteins are inside of the cell. So, where is DNA stored? Nucleus. What organelle makes the proteins? That was those little ribosomes. Okay? If this is so, then where are proteins made? Not in the nucleus, but in the cytoplasm. What problem might this pose? Well, the DNA is not allowed to leave the nucleus. So the instructions for the proteins, the DNA, can't get to the ribosomes in the cytoplasm. That's where our friend RNA comes in. So what problem might this pose? DNA must stay in the nucleus. But its instructions are needed in the cytoplasm. Okay? How does RNA solve this problem? RNA is a disposable copy of DNA that is allowed to leave the nucleus. Now I'm going to clarify something. RNA is a disposable copy of a gene that can leave the nucleus. So in other words, we don't copy all the DNA like in DNA replication. We just copy a piece we need. So a hair cell can get a gene for hair, copy it, and send it out so that it can be made into a protein. So we want to make sure that you guys know the differences between DNA and RNA. There's three main differences. So first, I'm going to use my regular black. I'm going to write the sugar is different. We already know that because I just talked about it earlier. The D in DNA stands for deoxyribose. I'm going to draw a nucleotide with a phosphate, a sugar, and a nitrogen base. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom line down here. Here's a phosphate, a sugar, oops, my hexagon there, pentagon, and a nitrogen base. And I'm going to use, for DNA, because I used green for DNA up here, I'm going to use green down here as well. I'm going to write deoxyribose. Okay, deoxyribose is the sugar that's in DNA. It's only a little bit different from ribose. Ribose is the sugar found in RNA, and ribose is not deoxyed. Okay? The difference between these two sugars is this one has one less oxygen molecule or atom. Okay? So that's one difference between DNA and RNA. Because if you think about it, we need to know, the nucleus needs to know to keep this inside and to let this go out. So RNA is allowed to leave the nucleus, but we keep the DNA safe because that's our master copy of everything. So these three ways make DNA and RNA different, so the nucleus knows who to let out to go visit the cytoplasm where the ribosomes are. Our second thing is, you might notice that the number of strands is different. Okay? DNA, as you guys know, is a double helix, so it has 2 strands. Okay? I'm going to draw a double helix like that. And there's only 1 strand in RNA. So we call it a single strand. Okay? It doesn't have a counterpart matching with it. The third difference is the nitrogen bases. You guys know that the nitrogen bases we have are adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. I'm going to write here thymine. Okay? It turns out that there is an A, a G, and a C in DNA and RNA, but there's no T. There's no thymine. Instead of thymine, we have another molecule called uracil. Uracil is the 4th nitrogen base. So we're going to draw another nucleotide. Draw a nucleotide here. And when we draw it, we're going to draw thymine. Thymine is a little hexagon shape. I'm going to color it. I'm going to highlight this in green, color this in green. And the nitrogen base is A, G, C, and U for uracil in RNA. Now, the U, the uracil, acts just like a thymine. So it can match with an A instead of T. Okay, we'll need to know that later. Go ahead and color this one so we know that uracil is the replacement for thymine when it comes to RNA. These are the 3 main differences between DNA and RNA. The next thing we're going to be discovering is that there's also 3 different kinds of RNA. So on the back of this page, you guys have another page, or on the following page, 27. There are 3 main types of RNA, and I'm going to give you the names of them, and then you guys are going to use some cut and paste pieces that I have, which might be underneath here. Let me see. Oops. We'll give you the, there it is. You're going to have some cut and paste pieces with a picture of the 3 different kinds of RNA and a description. You guys are going to cut these out, and you're going to put them on here. Okay, I'm just going to give you guys the full name first of the mRNA. mRNA, tRNA, and rRNA are the 3 types of RNA. And the first one, M, stands for messenger. Okay, because it brings the message. Okay, the second one is called transfer RNA, because it transfers an amino acid. Okay, and the third one is called ribosomal RNA, because it makes up part of the ribosome. Okay, with this information, I'd like you guys to match the pictures and the words. That is what we're doing next. Thank you. Bye-bye.